Welcome everyone back to the Crimson 15 podcast. I'm your host, Crimson Sen.
15 PCA.
87454.
Be sure to check us out over on Twitter at C15 Podcast. Join the discussion over on Discord, link in the description below. And if you're enjoying the videos, be sure to sub, like, share, and hit that bell for notifications. So it's time for the long format review of Nimona. And it's been a while. I did my little mini review. Go check that out over on TikTok, YouTube Shorts. And if you want to read a lot of crazy comments, go to the TikTok video. Links in the bio and description below and all that good stuff. And I learned one thing about this. People have a very strange emotional attachment to this film. And to the story, I suppose, the graphic novel, from which I've heard is completely different. I don't know. I can't read it. I can't look at garbage art that long to sit through that. But no one... Again, let's do some ground rules. If you're going to fight me in the comments, it's gonna. I usually like to engage with everybody, but like over on TikTok, the #1 comment was something to the effect of "This guy watched a different movie." Come up with a different insult because that one's stupid, and that and just people calling me names and making fun of me and doing stuff like that, but not actually bringing up any points. A few people try to, and then they end up getting so emotionally like worked up that they end up just kind of cussing me out, which is fine. You can do that, but it doesn't make your thing that you like any better. Also, everyone on the internet, this is something you need to learn. A lot of young people need to learn this. You are not the things that you like to watch. You are not the entertainment you consume. So if I really hate a film that you love, that doesn't mean I hate you, because you're not the film. That's just something separate from you. You got to separate yourself. There's a lot of people who don't like the things that I like, and guess what? It doesn't matter because you don't know me, and I don't know you. I can't hate you because I don't know you. I get to know you a little bit in the comments, especially when you're really mean and nasty, and you say to champion all the things of like treating people right and acceptance, except for when they disagree with you, then it's all hands on deck. Let's destroy this person. But you can't, because I hold little to no value in just mean remarks that there's nothing there. And we have a couple of people, I'd say maybe 3 people actually try to like debate the merits. And it all boils down to this. Everything that is wrong with this story doesn't matter because the message is good. Oh, it's about Nimona's journey, not if the fact that the world she lives in makes no sense whatsoever. But, oh, the message. Everyone keeps talking about the message. What's the message? To hold a grudge for 1,000 years and never get over it? That's the message? I don't know, because there's a lot of, but when we go through the movie, I don't know how long it's going to be, probably like a 45-minute, hour-long review. But I will give suggestions of how I would have fixed the story and where it would have made a little more sense. I know that they're constrained to like an hour and like 20 minutes to try to tell this story. Then don't tell the story. I have ideas and thoughts and characters of stuff in my head, and unless I can tell that story the way I want to, I won't tell it. I'd rather you never hear about the things in my mind than try to do a rush job to, forget about it making sense and characters having real motivations. Oh, but look at this really sad thing at the end. That's not enough for me. I know there's a lot of people that it works for them. And let's talk about things that I like, because that's going to be the shortest thing. The character animations are pretty nice. The backgrounds are a little weird. So it does feel unfinished. The film is unfinished. The background, the characters themselves are pretty good. And Ballister's a good guy. I like him. That's it. That's what everything else I don't like. Literally everything else I do not like. I don't want this to become something that makes you upset or sad. If you're really, if this film is, because there's people in the comments on the TikTok video where it's like, they were like, I just insulted their God and their religion, and it literally made them, I can imagine how upset they were. So if you get really upset about this kind of stuff, I never like saying don't watch this video, but don't watch it, because I don't want to hurt your feelings, because I don't know you. Just try to think about it objectively. And that's another thing someone said, you can't watch a film objectively. And I that just blows my mind that you think this isn't a surreal painting where there's no form and you kind of think, how does this painting make you feel? No, this is a story with characters and you have to look at it objectively. But let's start up, and we start with the legend. This Glorith lady defeated this monster, and then she made a band of knights to protect, the town from monsters. I'm like, oh, okay, it's kind of done told like in Tapestry. It kind of reminds me of Legend of Zelda. And then we start up 1,000 years later. And that's the first problem. I wouldn't have made it 1,000 years. I would have made it like 100 or 200 years or something like that. Even 200 it makes problems, but 1,000 makes a lot more problems. Because now it's like futuristic. Like we're talking flying cars and stuff like that. Then I'm thinking, oh, okay. The first thing in my mind was, whoa, this world is pretty advanced. Are there multiple kingdoms? They got flying cars, space travel, satellites, like all these things are running through my head. I'm like, how are they going to weave in this kind of mystical medieval fantasy and then have all this, technology? The technology plays no part in the story. None. All of this could have happened in a medieval fantasy, and everything that's technology could have just been magic. It would have solved all the weird technology problems, because we see later on in the film they have like facial recognition technology and stuff. I was like, what the so we get it's tonight's the night where you unite the knights. That's the kind of, and again, there's people, it's so funny. I don't know, you gotta be like 10, 13 years old, but we got this big celebration. They're gonna make a night, and the big controversy is they picked like a commoner, and that's like, you don't do that. It has to be like, you have to be royal bloodline. But this Ballister kid's going to be the first one. And when he was a kid, he was a psycho. But because all kids are crazy. And he's going to get the queen herself said, hey, I like this dude. He's going to be a good knight. He loves the kingdom. And of course, tonight's the night. And then Ballister's feeling kind of like, oh man, do I deserve this? Imposter syndrome. Am I worthy of being a knight? And his boyfriend, his name is Golden Loin. I thought it was Golden Lion. I thought, okay, Golden Lion, it's so cheesy, it's stupid, whatever. Golden Loin. His name is Golden Male Sex Organ. That's his name. What? And he's gay? Who would have guessed? But he's like, oh, don't worry, babe. They're going to love you. They're going to feel about you the same way I do, and I love you. They're going to love you. Okay, good. I like that. They have a good relationship, but the movie isn't about their relationship. It doesn't, he could have been anything. He could have been straight, gay, not been with anybody. None of that would have mattered. They could have been friends. It could have been lovers. It plays into the story not at all in any way. I don't know. People talk about, it's the gayest film ever. Why? That two dudes like each other, that makes it a champion for LGBT. That's so weird. Anyways, Golden Loin isn't a bad character either. I like him because he's like torn between, duty and honor and who he loves. I like that. But it's such a small part of the film, it really doesn't matter. But like, okay, get ready. We're going to, go out there and we're going to get knighted and we're going to be part of the kingdom and everyone's going to love us. And this is where I started thinking, so is being a knight a military thing? Is it a police officer thing? Is it like a celebrity thing? Because this makes it look like it's like a celebrity, like a sports athlete. Like you just got drafted into the NFL. And know how they have like the NFL game nights and like they have all the video footage of all the players and stuff? That's kind of what it looks like and kind of like what it feels like. It's weird because can you name, who the generals and lieutenants in the military are? Like, do you know any of them unless you know them personally? Like, why would you know that? But obviously they're like celebrities. The people love them. They protect the realm from monsters. They use the word like defenders of the realm, and it's more like defenders of the town or the city that they live in, because there is no other cities or towns or anything. They just somehow are self-sufficient. They don't trade with other cities or other humans. That's where the whole 1,000 years thing, it's stupid that they wouldn't have contact with other people. They have like stuff that's like the internet, but where? Anyways, we meet some of the other knights, and all of them are unnamed except for Todd. And Todd's like a meathead jackass, and he's like a surfer dude the way he talks. it's like, okay, he's the bad guy. Like, he's a piece of garbage. You could made him a meathead and he was ignorant. But no, this guy's like cruel and evil. Like, he's talking about Balser. Oh, this whole time I told you weren't good enough and you couldn't make it. And then he's like, aren't you going to say anything else? Oh, you thought I was going to say, but I learned, but no way. You're still a piece of garbage. That happens. But anyone who's ever been through, like, even on a sports team, there's guys you don't like on your team. But when you go through the same stuff, you go through the same training, you hit this, all the stuff the same way. You train, you fight, you learn to risk each other's lives. Like, we're not military people. You got to have that kind of respect, but that doesn't seem to have happened here. Like, I'm assuming the training's very militaristic, but we don't see any of that. We saw a little bit when he was like a kid. It was like a obstacle course. But we don't, none of that, there's no camaraderie between any of these people. They just, like, it doesn't matter. So there's a bunch of nights you never get to, they don't even, those don't even talk. But they're going to go up there. We see this Chancellor lady, and I'm like, okay, she's kind of Palpatine-ish. I am pretty sure. I'm like, she might be a gray character. Not good, not bad. Maybe they just want to do what's best for the city, but is morally ambiguous about it. So I'm like, got my eye on you. We see them. They're going to go get knighted. And the first up is Golden Loin. And I guess he's a descendant of Glorth. I guess the bloodline ends with him because he's not having no damn kids. And this is where it's very celebrity. They're going up there, they get knighted. Hey, cool, now it's Ballister's turn. And everyone has their own swords and their own armor. That's another thing I was thinking, like, if they're a military unit, shouldn't all their stuff be, like, standard issue? Like, shouldn't they all look the same? But everyone has their own little look to them, which is, I guess, good to tell them difference, but it makes no sense in the military. He's getting knighted, and the queen's like, oh, you're going to be one of the best ever. And everyone gets quiet, but then they cheer for him. It's like, oh, cool, they accepted him. But then his sword opens up and straight up murders the queen. Like, you can tell by the look on his face that was not something he wanted to happen. I mean, look at him. He looks like, oh my God, what just happened? And she got murked. Everyone's like, holy crap. Golden Loin training. Someone attacked, the queen. He lifts his sword, boom, chops his buddy's arm off, his lover's arm off. And I'm like, oh, dang, there should have been blood everywhere. That'd have been awesome. But you can even see that Golden Loin's like, holy crap, my training just kicked in. Ballister somehow doesn't die from immediate blood loss, and he's able to kind of get away. Like, he sneaks away. We get Nimona. She's just like, graffitiing stuff and pushing people around. And then she sees this whole like, oh, this dude killed the queen. He's a bad guy. I like this dude. And then I thought, this is when I first started thinking about this character, Nimona. So she wanted to be with like a supervillain, like be the buddy. Like, oh, let's go around. You killed the queen. So, like, you're a killer and a murderer. I want to be just like you and do the killing and the murdering like you do. How do people, see themselves in this character? That's such a weird character to want to be like. But Ballister gets away. And again, there's no time frame here. So this whole movie takes place in a few days. The assassination of the queen and then the winning at the end all happens within like 2 days. Like, you don't see like a lot of time. Ballister makes himself a robot arm, Luke Skywalker. Again, you could have done this with magic, could have been steampunk. Again, I always like the idea of like power crystals. You make a robo arm, you put in a power crystal, boom, it's magic, it works. It has runes, whatever you want to make, how deep you want to take a magic system. That's how it works. It didn't have to be technology. But Nimona breaks in and then, hey boss, I'm the sidekick you've been looking for. And he's like, what the hell, little kid, get out of here. But she's able to like move around fast. First, they want to hide her shape-shifting powers from the audience. So she's just kind of bouncing all over the room. And he's like, how the hell did you get the way over there? So I'm assuming she's turning into like a rat or a bee or a fly and then moving quickly. I'm guessing, I don't think she has teleport powers. But we find out that Nimona's powers have no limits. And that's another terrible thing. But she's just being weird. And like, oh, wow, they chop off your arm. Did you get to keep it? And it's like making all these like crazy faces. People like this. I mean, this is where I'm concerned. That guess this comes from being a big brother and always been around children and raising kids, cousins, nephews, nieces. And when a child acts this way, that something bad happened to them. They were abused. They were hurt physically, emotionally, hopefully not, in a very bad way. But that's something you have to keep an eye out for because this isn't normal behavior for a child. Because at this moment, we think she's some 14, 15-year-old girl. But they get banter back and forth, and then she's like, yeah, you're a murderer and a killer, dude. We can like do killing together, and I can be your little murder sidekick. He's like, no, I'm not a murderer. I was framed. I got to figure out what happened. And he's like, oh, cool, look at this, because I guess he was making one of those, you see him in all the crime things where like you have the picture and the strings. Like, oh, is this like your hit list? And these are the people going to kill next. Oh yeah, we got to kill this guy, this Todd guy. Oh yeah, he's dying to be killed. And so she's just like this murder freak, and he can't really convince her that he's not a murderer. But she's like, oh, that sucks. But how about this? I'll help you anyways, because, you can't just walk into the kingdom and say, hey, I need to explain myself, and then they're going to just arrest you. Then it cuts to him being arrested. Then I thought, okay, issue. They just throw him in a cell. You just murdered the queen, like assassinated the queen. Like, wouldn't you be thrown in a cell with like 5,000 guards, and you would be like, because they have television, right? They'd be like, oh, captured queen's assassin, No, he gets just thrown like in a regular old dunky little dungeon. And the guards, this is on N.D. Little Stevenson, their style of background. This happened a lot in She-Ra, where the background guards have this weird banter. Hey, want to get a beer? Oh, yeah, I'll be there, buddy. And they just like walk away. What? The guy murdered the queen, an assassin, the greatest enemy, public enemy number one. And then you're not going to have 24-hour guards around this guy? Then that chancellor lady shows up, and she's like, I can't believe I trusted you. And the queen trusted you, and look what you did. He's like, come on, I wouldn't have done this. And here's another thing. I'm thinking, you were teaching this kid since he was a little boy? And then you think he was capable of this? And then she like still doesn't believe him? Like, I thought to myself, either she's in on it, or she's just an evil person, like straight up evil. But they're going to leave him in there to like rot away. And they're not going to just execute him. Drag him out in front of the people and chop his head off. Killing the queen might have some kind of consequences to it. But Nimona shows up, and he's like, whoa, kid, how did you get in here? Oh, I have my ways. I told you this would happen. But then she gets outside the bars, and it's happening. We don't know if she can turn into animals. And then she's just outside the bars. Like, what the hell did you do that? She's like, oh, I can get you out of here. She's being all destructive and weird. And everything's a joke. Everything is like a reference to something else. He's like, come on, we're gonna get out of here, but we got to sneak out of here. So he's trying to use his like training, but she's like knocking things over and just not giving a crap about anything. And this is when I talked about the background's not looking so great. These white walls look like a PS1 video game that there's no textures, like they ran out of memory. But I guess she already beat up all the guards. Since she was talking about killing and murdering people, I'm thinking she killed all these people. Why wouldn't she have killed all those people unless she was just joking? Like she says she wants to kill people, but she really doesn't. We don't get that in this film. We don't get that like, oh, she says crazy things, but she really means something else. Like she's lashing out and wants to hurt people because she feels like she was hurt. No, she wants to murder, kill, mayhem. And that's the right thing to do. So she murdered. I'm saying, even though you hear the guards go, oh, like they got knocked out like in every cartoon. The famous Dragon Ball Z, I see their parachutes. But they're dead. She killed them all. And so the alarm goes off, and they're just running around. He's like, well, kid, we got to get out of here. I got to keep you safe. Because he still thinks it's just a little girl. And this is the one part, this is the one joke that really worked for me. Because she's like, come on, let's just kill all these people. And he's like, no, I can't kill anyone. We can't kill anyone. Fine, whatever. Just go around, kill everyone you see. And that's when Golden Loin sees that. His name is Ambrosius. Remember, that was the name of the dog in Labyrinth. But so all he heard was telling this sidekick of his, go kill everybody. And he's like doing like a big scary face. I thought, oh my God, that he couldn't have said it at a worse time. That was good comedic timing. That was pretty funny. But he's like, who's this sidekick of yours? And then he gets kind of hurt on that level. Like, I'm not your buddy. But obviously this is a little girl and you're his lover. It made me feel weird. Like, did he think that he was like with her? Like, why would he be... But then she makes the connection that this is the dude that chopped his arm off, and everything's a big joke. They hide in a closet, and then she's like, hey, I'm going to do something, but you can't freak out. He's like, oh, okay. She turns into like a big old gorilla, rhino, and she starts turning all these things. She's smashing into everybody, and not killing anyone. That's another thing people were telling me in the comments. Oh, she never killed anybody. Okay, let go to the savannah jungle, intimidate a rhino and have it sideswipe you and have it not kill you too. Unless you're going to be in a hospital and you're never going to walk again. Those are your two options, death or being paralyzed. So they're going around smashing everything. She's turning into all these different monsters and stuff, and they can't stop her, and all the guards are idiots. So there's knights, and then there's other dudes. They're not knights, but they're just like guardsmen. What's the hierarchy here? Guardsman, knight? There's no sergeants, lieutenants, first lieutenants. There's no that's another thing that really bothered me too. That there's the knights, then that chancellor lady, then the queen, but there was no military leaders. There's no like, oh, I was expecting to see like an older grizzled knight guy who still believed in Ballister, and he like, I trained him since he was a boy, but he's like, I saw him kill the queen. Another character that can kind of be like a good guy who doesn't quite trust the chancellor, but how could he trust Ballister? He saw it with his own two eyes. I thought there was going to be a character like that. No, there's no hierarchy here of like the military, which bothered me. And people are like, oh, who cares? It's the message. They keep running around, and remember that scene in Spider-Verse when they were sneaking out of to get the computer from Doc Ock? It's like that, but stupid. She turns into a whale and smashes through all the floors. Then you have a small pee-pee joke, because for the kids. That Todd guy's taking a shower, and then Nimona looks at his wiener and says, oh, it must be really cold. Thus referencing to his small wiener. I can't make, I'm not making this up, folks. So he's like, oh, you looked at my pee-pee. She smashes through everything. Then they fly out the thing. This is from the trailer. And then she's like, oh, yeah. And then she's like, the castle start to explode. And she's like, oh, this is metal. The fiery eyeballs and stuff, is that visual flair for the audience, or is she actually doing that? Like you could actually see the fire in her eyes. Then she says metal and does the horns, like at a rock show. Then I said, okay, so there's metal music. So there's America, and there was rock bands, and they use the same terminology. I don't like that. I don't like melding like references that are from real life in a super fantasy fake world that shouldn't have those things. There shouldn't be, of course there's going to be music and like performances. Obviously they have television and stuff, but why would it be exactly the same? It's just stupid Stevenson writing where they're not able to come up with anything original. They just have to like pull from everything else. So she liked that she killed all those people in there. There's no effing way she didn't kill somebody. At least one person died. Ballister wakes up and he's like, oh, how did I get here? Then, of course, she saved him. But then that's when we get to the point where he's like, what the hell are you? And, he's concerned about everything that went down, but he's also concerned that you're like this little girl, but you can turn into like these things. And then he's going to call her a monster. And then she's like, oh, don't call me that. And she says, because she's making tacos. So there's Mexico in this world. There's Mexicans. My people exist in this world. When did that cultural influence get to their little town? Because obviously their city never expanded beyond the walls because there's monsters. So Mexicans and tacos happened in a microcosm in this world with metal music. This is where my brain, I can't accept it. It's too much just to turn your brain off and go, the message is so good, I don't have to care about this. Because what's the point of her mentioning tacos and mariachis? What does that add to the story? It's not a funny joke. It's stupid, and it brings up all kinds of weird world-building issues that can't be addressed. If she wouldn't have said those things, that's just something you never have to explain. But she's trying to be funny, but he's starting to okay, are you like... That's when I thought there was more than one monster. Like, oh, there's monsters. That's what the knights go do. They fight the monsters. They go outside the walls. They kill the monsters, and they keep the city safe. There's just the one. Nimona's the one monster in the whole world. So for 1,000 years, the knights haven't been fighting anything. They've done nothing. They have never killed anything. They've never gone to battle or combat with anyone or anything, because there's no other kingdoms, no other cities, no other enemies. So they are being trained to fight monsters that no one has ever seen, that no one has ever made a report of for 1,000 years. What the flying F? Because at this point, I thought there was multiple monsters. Like, oh, they fight manticores and dragons and salamander, fire-breathing monster thingies. But no, then she gets all up in his face and he's like, what are you? I'm Nimona. I'm not anything but myself. And that's the message. But he's like, hey, we still need to like clear my name. I know the page knew something. The page who gave me my sword. I saw a look on his face. I knew he has to know something. We have to get to this guy. Then she's like, okay, let me clear your name and then we'll be buddies. You have to accept me and then basically be my family. And that's all she really wanted, was like a family, which is a nice message, but you're also a murdering little monster girl. But I'm not a girl. I'm a shark. And then like, oh, put your head in my mouth. No, that's weird. Get back to the kingdom. Everything's all destroyed. And Todd's like, look at all this history destroyed. Ha ha. The statue of your grandma is on the statue of my grandpa's face. All her butt's in his face. Ha 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 ha. This the dialogue? Is this the Oscar award winning dialogue that everyone keeps talking about this film being nominated for an Oscar? Are you effing stupid? I don't want to get mad. It's beyond infantile. But Golden Loin is still like, I don't know what all this went down. This thing was turning into animals and there was a giant whale. But Loin still wants to talk to Ballister like one-on-one, because he still can't believe everything that went down. Especially, I'm assuming they've been together for a while. It'd be kind of funny if they literally just started dating like 2 days ago. But I'm assuming they fell in love and, during combat camp training. Who knows? Obviously, it looks like the training takes like 20 years. So I'm assuming they've been in love for a long time. People brought up a good point saying, oh, this thing talks about classism, like how, he was looked down upon for being a commoner, which is part of the story. But it's so insignificant. It's like him being gay. It's so insignificant. It might as well not be part of anything. It doesn't matter. But Golden Loin's like, I'm going to take up the thing. I'm going to get him. I'll bring him in. Get back to, Nimona just like flying him around. She can turn into a dragon, like get dragon wings and fly and stuff, which is cool. Which also leads me to believe she hung around this village for 1,000 years. I'm sorry, if I could turn into a dragon and fly, I'm going everywhere. She never found another city. She never met anyone. They get to the city. Okay, we're going to find this guy and we're going to interrogate him. It's like, oh, we're going to kill him. Like, no, we got to ask him questions. But she wants to just like kill him. They go to the market and then like, oh, we found him. Like they just know where he's going to be. So they get on the train, but they have facial recognition technology. So like, oh, he's on the train. Then this was a clip that was on Twitter and people were like, this is so funny. Ha 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 ha. The action's so good. She can like turn into not just animals, she can turn into people too. So she turns into Ballister and, fights all the dudes and like, oh, I like jazz. So there's jazz in this world? Where did that come from? So there was like 30s and 40s Black America. Like when did jazz get to this city? Again, don't make the reference if it doesn't make any sense. You can just make up music. Call it something else. They do it in Star Wars all the effing time. Just call it something else. But she's able to like beat them all up because she can turn into things. And then she just kind of gets them to go somewhere else. And then, they sneak onto the thing and we see a commercial for like Dragon Monsteros or whatever. And everything's a big joke to Nimona. And then he's like, what's your story? Like, what's going on? And then she talks about like, oh, once was this little girl and there was a wishing well. I'm like, oh, she's effing with them. She's just effing with them. And of course, that's what she's doing. Oh, you really believed me? You're a dumbass. The train stops, but since they have like super advanced satellite facial recognition technology, but they've never gone anywhere else in the world, but they have this technology. They're able to like, and they have like crossbows. They don't have guns. They have like laser crossbow bolts. I thought it was shooting lasers, but it's actually shooting arrows. They're able to get away from that because she like just busts through the roof and gets them out of there. They're in the market and the page is just there. They just know he's there. Obviously because he shops at the market everywhere, same day, same time. He's like, okay, we got to get this guy, but let's not kill him. Let's be discreet. She turns into a little kid, and then does a bunch of like scary faces, and then like, I'm a little demon kid. I'm gonna get you. And this guy just like running around screaming. It's full on Looney Tunes at this point. It's I had to stop. I stopped multiple times watching this film because it just doesn't make any sense. It's just chasing him around. I want to kill you to get with me. And Bowser jumps in a car, and they think it's like, oh, the test drive. Oh, this car is the best in the market. And she's trying to sell him the car, but they don't know it's Ballister, the guy who killed the queen. And then they see like his wanted photo on the screen, and it's him. And oh no, oh, it's Ballister. They're running around. They're screaming. They're trying to capture the page. They're causing all this ruckus. They get him beat up. They throw him in the trunk of the car. They fly off. This is then they get away. How do they not be able to? They have all this technology, but they couldn't just like shut the car down. This is why you don't do technology, people. We get back to their little hideout, and this is a sweet moment. He's like, "Whoa, you get an arrow, and you like took an arrow to the knee." And she's like, "Oh no, it doesn't hurt." He's like, "Oh, don't sit still. Let me help you." And he's like trying to like do some field medicine, right? I'm gonna pull the arrow out. I'm gonna wrap it and bandage it. But you can see that she feels no pain. Nothing affects it. She's invincible. We even see it at the end of the movie. She's literally invincible. She feels no pain. There's no limits to her powers. I honestly thought after all that crap she did in the castle, she's gonna be like, "Oh, boss, I gotta sit down for a while." Nope, nothing. There's no end to her powers. No flaws whatsoever. Do you like that? People on the YouTubes, in the comment section, you like when a character has zero flaws, no limits to their powers? I thought maybe she had to eat a lot of food, like because she expels so much energy that she'll have to eat like Goku, just like a mountain of food. I don't even think she has to eat. I think she just does it because she likes it. She's almost a god. So, but the arrow in her leg, couldn't she just like turn into an elephant and the arrow just fall out? Or turn so small the arrow, like, you know what I'm saying? Like it wouldn't cause her any damage. But she thinks it's really sweet that he helped her. And then even then he's like, we gotta make sure to take care of you. Like I don't want you to get hurt because of me. He's still being very, again, Bowser's a nice guy. They interrogate the page. And here's the jokes, people. He's like, oh yeah, that sword wasn't for you. And he goes, I have proof of it. Here's a little video footage. Before the Queen's assassination, he was like playing around with his armor and like put it on and pretended to be Ballister. They all have helmets, but no one wears the helmets. Then someone walks in, he's like, oh, he hides and pretends, like he's just the pseudo armor standing there. Sees the Chancellor lady swap out I know she's not the Chancellor, but I don't know what the hell she's called. I forget because I don't care. Swaps out the swords. So he knew something was up and he never did anything about it. And then he was cool with it, just shopping and didn't care. So does no one care about the Queen? Is the Queen nothing? So he's like, oh, this is the evidence I need. She's the bad guy. She's been the bad guy all along. With this evidence, we'll be able to prove that I'm innocent. And instead of making like 10,000 copies of this thing, so they're able to. We're gonna confront her with it. We're gonna upload this image. We're gonna show everyone, and then they're gonna have to believe me. He gets a little phone call, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go meet Ambrosius. I don't want to call him Golden Loin. It's so stupid. Ambrosius. I'm gonna meet him for like tacos or nachos because that's what guys do." We see Ambrosius and the Chancellor lady are talking. He's like, "What's wrong, Golden Loin?" Then he has his big old freak out, but he didn't have the freak out. That was just him internally, internalizing his freak out. I am fine. So he like doesn't say what he's feeling. That was a nice little thing. Like I thought he really did have this freak out and he didn't. Okay. But again, is this the next day or the next? It's just moment to moment to moment. Just boom, 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 boom. He goes and confronts them. It's like, look, here's the video evidence. And he didn't make like more copies of this. He didn't just instantly upload this to the internet because they have like an internet. He like had the only copy with him. Why didn't he text it to his phone and Timona's phone and text the video to Golden Loin? Why didn't he do that? So instead of just like confronting them right away, just what's the deal? He's like, here it is. And then Todd shoots it out of his hand. So he can't, show him the evidence. Oh, capture him. Nimona turns into a big freak, starts beating everybody up. And I'm like, oh, they're starting to, get her down. No, just nothing. That was a big joke. She's thinking they can't beat her. She jumps off the building. She turns into a dragon. And then they're fighting. And they're a little banter back and forth because they're still like lovers. They're still in love with each other. But then they're like, oh, so you don't trust me. But given the circumstances, you have to kind of understand everything, Ambrosia is going through. But of course, he's like super hurt about it. He's like, oh, if you're not going to trust me, I guess I'll just be a bad guy. That's the whole thing. Like, again, is that the message? Is that the message you guys forgot all about continuity and things making sense? The message of let other people define you. She's going around doing monster stuff. Like, she turns into the dragon from the cartoon. And explain this to me. I want someone to explain this to me. I thought, oh, she turns into a dragon. She turns into a bear. She do all the bear stuff. So she turns into a dragon. She'll be able to shoot fire, right? Since she turned into the cereal dragon, she breathes giant balls of cereal. So what is this? Is this like part of her body? Are these giant balls of cereal actually made out of what the cereal is made out of? Like, could you like eat it? Or would it be like eating Nimona? Like, is it like her flesh? Looney Tunes. It's Looney Tunes. And people like this? But she sees like a little kid, and then she's like, oh no, I don't want to hurt the little kid. She turns into like a little girl version of herself. And the little kid picks up a sword. But Nimona, you were fighting the guards, which is like, they're military, they're police. You're smashing things up, people yelling and screaming, running for their lives. How did you want this kid to react to you? In the comments below, did you want to go, oh, cool, Nimona, you're like really awesome? What did you expect to happen, you freaking doofus? But then, the Chancellor is like, oh my gosh, you can turn into things. I'm going to go look at the ancient scrolls like Gandalf did. He gets back to their hideout. They go back and forth to the hideout like 15 times in 3 hours. Get back to the hideout, and he's like, we got to get you out of here. We got to get you out of the city. Got to protect you, which is nice of Bowser to do that. But she's like, I don't need your protection. I don't need any of this. And then she's like, instead of like coming clean and be like, hey, this is what happened to me in my life, she's always like reacts with like hatred. That's how she reacts to everything. Okay, we got to figure out a way. I got to remember, I promised, I said I was going to clear her name. Where's clear her name? Instead of worrying about her own safety because she realizes she's immortal. She can't die. No one can hurt her. Her powers have no limits. There's no need to protect her. She can literally turn into, since she could turn into anything, why didn't she just turn into like a freaking Titan-sized monster and just stomp the whole city? Because obviously all you want to do is kill people. We get to the Chancellor and Alistair. He didn't even play Dragon Age. Ambrosia is like, hey, we need to talk, High Counselor lady. This what's this going on with him saying that you really betrayed us? And then she's like, oh, I'll do anything to protect this city. And she kind of like confesses everything, but then shoots him and then does the whole bad guy thing and monologues her whole entire plan. But it was Nimona. Remember how Nimona can turn into people? I'm like, oh, that was actually a good idea to do that. They got it all recorded. And they're like, oh yeah, okay, boss, let's get out of here. And then what he should have done with the first video evidence, they just upload it. Upload her basically saying, I killed the queen because she allowed a piece of garbage commenter to be a knight. I had to get rid of her. So again, talking about classism, but it's so weird because she's the one and only, she's queen now? Like there's no king. They don't even mention a king because who can ever have a king, right? There's no like princesses or duchesses or earls or any of the other monarchy type things. It goes straight to whoever this lady is. Wouldn't there be like a power vacuum? So like, oh, cool. Let's just upload this and we got you. You're saved. So they're going to just like play games and stuff and have a little party. And like, it's time to be silly. We did it. Yay, silly time. And they have like a shark dance party. I'm laughing because it's not funny. I'm laughing that people thought, yeah, that's the thing. That's what I want my heroes to do, to have a shark dance party. So they're having the dance party because like, oh, we won. Uploads all the stuff and everything. Like, we got this. We could, she's the bad guy and we're the good guy. She freaking, we got proof of her blackmail. But, you know, when he was talking about the sword and everything, so Golden Loin goes, checks out the sword, and he realizes, oh crap, this isn't his sword, because his sword got destroyed. How can you have this sword? Like, what would there have been? Because his sword was unique. So he's starting to think, okay, what's going on? That's when he meets up with, he wants to meet up with Ballister. And yeah, they go and have nachos because that's like the thing, right? That's what millennials do. They eat nachos. And you think he's on his side, like, oh, she tricked both of us. And you're thinking, oh, he's talking about the Chancellor lady, because why would he say trick both of us? Nimona never tricked you. Like, because he thinks like, oh, she shapeshifted into the Chancellor, said all those things, and you guys faked it. Because she's like an evil monster. But they show video footage of her not hurting the child. Like, one of that, someone like, hey, look, she didn't hurt the child. Like, she purposely blocked the car from like hitting a kid. But everyone's stupid and doesn't realize that. Then he's like, oh, if you can't trust me, I don't, whatever, leave me alone, you butthead. So they run out of their hurt feelings. They get back to Nimona and they're like, hey, they're saying, you know, that you're a monster. Are you the monster from Legend? Is that the whole thing? And you're the one. And of course she gets all kind of pissy with them. What do you call me, a monster? Instead of just telling the truth will set you free. They get tracked. Todd shows up. Oh, I'm Todd. I hate everybody, and you're a big butthead. She turns into a wolf, runs off. And then we get her backstory. This is like, oh, the backstory. This is what I was waiting for. And it was like, okay, maybe all that silliness, all the stupid world building they just gloss over. There being Mexicans and tacos and metal music. And okay, we'll just forget all that because we're getting that backstory that everyone said was, oh my God, it's so phenomenal. How could you not love this backstory? Here we go. So we go back in time. And remember she talked about that wishing well? I'm like, oh, so that kind of comes up again. But we see Nimona, she's a bird. Other birds go, oh, they fly away. Oh, she becomes like a deer. All the deers run away. So she can't find her place. There's no dialogue here, but I'm assuming that's what she's going through. Like, oh, no matter what I am, I can't find anyone. She sees a little girl playing by that well, and then she turns into a little girl. And then they kind of start talking, like interacting. And she's like, oh, hey, little girl in the forest, are you okay? Then they start playing together and like having fun, and then she transforms. And the little girl's like, cool. So they're like super best friends. Like, you know, buddies in the forest. Again, how long were they friends? It makes it feel like it's only been a day. So she turns into a horse, they're riding horses and like doing all kind of like, oh, I'll be like the bear and I'll throw like, there'll be like Baloo and freaking Mowgli. So they're having all kinds of fun together. She's still a big bear and she's playing with her. And the townspeople are like, holy crap, get away from that bear. Because who wouldn't? If you saw your daughter playing with a bear, you'd be like, oh my God, that bear can just bite your head off and kill you in an instant. But she turns into a little girl. It's like, oh, don't, you know, there's no dialogue. And you can tell she's like, and everyone's like, holy crap, that bear turned into a little girl. Obviously, they're going to be freaked out. You're telling me that if you saw someone turn into an animal back and forth, you wouldn't be like, oh, let's be friends, play with this little girl. You would obviously be protective, because if this thing can turn into a bear, what else can it do? They like, someone has like a torch, they get like the torches, you know, like they think she's freaking Frankenstein's monster, and just defending herself, one guy accidentally like ends up lighting the town on fire. Like it wasn't even Nimona that did it. It was some idiot throwing a torch around. Then we get the line from the beginning where Glorth says, oh, go back to the shadows from when hence you came, you know, because she saw Lord of the Rings and had to quote it. So that was the story. So in the beginning, it made it look like Glorth was like this woman who slew a monster, but it was just when she was a little girl. So when they told the histories, they aged her up, you know, for the demographics. I don't. So that's the story. So So they built their whole society off of this one event that everyone would have forgot about in about a year. Wasn't that crazy that we saw that bear turn into a little girl and it ran off into the forest and we never saw that ever again? They built their whole... This would be like America being based off of the story of George Washington cutting down the cherry tree, and that be everything America's about. Could you imagine how stupid that'd be? That'd be like, we have a big cherry tree and we all worship the cherry tree that George Washington cut down, and it's just like a story, like a made-up myth. That's what happened in this world, though. Again, this is what everyone was telling me. This is the thing, guys. Oh, man, you're going to love this backstory. So they made this whole worship Glorith for 1,000 years, even though she was a little girl when this happened. In the comments, maybe there's explanation in the graphic novel. I highly doubt it, because Stevenson can't think for beans. So you're telling me Nimona, this character that can turn into anything, never left this town? She just sat around and sulked for 1,000 years. She never went to another village. She never tried to make friends again. She never met another human being for 1,000 years. And then everyone's like, oh, they were trying to kill her. No one knows who she was. No one's ever seen a monster. I thought there were more monsters. Wouldn't it have made sense if Glorith was a little bit older, like a teenager, and then she's like, oh man, we have to hunt down this beast, this monster, even though they were like friends? Like, that's so weird. And they went and killed her whole family. Like, Nimona had like a clan of other monsters and other mystical beings, you know, kind of like in the live action version of Maleficent, where like she had that world of like mystical creatures, and they marched in there and they burned down the forest and they killed all the fairies and then, you know, all the other kind of mystical creatures, and that made Nimona hate human beings, like hate them for everything. Okay, 1,000 years is a bit much to never try, but I could understand. No, one village was mean to her one time 1,000 years ago, so that means my only answer is to love murder and mayhem. So I'm assuming she's done murders like in the city. Like, why not? Why not turn into a guy and just like slit someone's throat and leave him and like, oh no, it's an unsolved murder and shit. She can turn into anything. Who would know? What I have to assume that she's been doing that kind of stuff, because all she ever talks about is killing people. So that's the backstory. An F minus backstory, because there's so much more they could have done with that to make it more believable. Show her going to multiple villages and trying to befriend people. If anyone's ever read Frankenstein, that's basically what happens to Frankenstein. He tries to befriend a family by like doing nice things for them. Like he cuts wood for them, for the young boy. And he kind of like falls in love with this family from a distance, meets the father's blind, has a conversation with them. Son comes back. Oh my God, there's a big monster. And then they try to fight him and they move and he's like, oh, I hate humanity. You know, I can understand in Frankenstein. So they should, no, Stevenson just stole that idea. So it's the Frankenstein story without any of the nuance. So she just hates everything. And that the thing with Frankenstein was also Frankenstein questioned their life. Like, if there's a God, but Dr. Frankenstein made me, what am I? Am I, you know, like he had all these philosophical beliefs. Nimona just wants to kill everything. So I'm like, oh, that's her backstory. Of course, Bowser feels bad, you know, because, you know, it's kind of sad, but if you stop and think about it for a second, it's like, what the hell's your problem? And shouldn't you have gotten over it in 1,000 effing years? I can understand if they were chasing her around the world. That's another way they could have done it. Nimona tries to run away from the village. Glorith spends her whole entire life hunting her down. And they're going into forests, they're killing all kinds of animals and creatures. Just like, oh my God, Nimona's like, everywhere I go, all they do is kill everything. And I'm causing all this death by just existing. Maybe I should just let these people kill me. Because she does say that, which is a sad line. She says something to the effect of, I don't know what's worse, everyone wanting to kill me or the fact that I want to let them kill me. Again, that's a very thoughts of like suicide and stuff, because that's what people think when they go through that. Again, that's a sad message. It's wrapped in a really stupid movie. But that could have been another way that would have made sense for her to hate humanity. But then no one ever seen her for 1,000 years. We get the Bowser getting arrested again. They don't just like slit his throat and kill him right then and there. But they're gonna like bring him to the city to like, I don't know, talk to the chancellor, and they're gonna like, I don't know, do a public execution. No, they're gonna do anything. But Golden Loin, he has all these reservations about what's going down. He doesn't really believe what's happening. He saw that video. He's all mixed up emotions, even after talking to Ballister in the restaurant. He still feels all mixed up about all this. They captured, since she can turn into anything, she gets away. And then now she's super sad. She turns into like a Godzilla monster, but not a cool one. And she's going to go kill herself. And the only way she wants to kill herself is on the giant sword, of the statue of the sword, like the Glorith statue. She's going to like open her chest, and because she has like a energy, and if you pierce the energy, that's how she dies. So there's no making fun of suicide. That's a terrible, awful thing. But could Nimona have picked any more dramatic of a way to do it? Couldn't she have just, I don't know, turned into a mouse and let a bird eat her? No, she wants to do it in this big, dramatic, over-the-top way. So she's breaking into the city, monster attack, and they're like shooting her and stuff. And just like a Godzilla movie, she's like, oh, getting hit around and everything. But these weapons can't kill her because she's Nimona and she's like unstoppable. She's bashing into buildings, stomping all over the city. Again, people told me she didn't kill anybody. She smashed into like multiple buildings. There's no way she didn't kill anyone. These are innocent people that had nothing to do with what was going on. If you want to say, hey, she's fighting the guards, they're like the military, they were trying to kill her, okay, she can kill. I guess, she's defending her life. But what do the citizens of the city have anything to do with this? Whatever, she's going to go kill herself, and Ballister kind of realizes, oh my God, she's going to go up there and like just jump on the sword. And everyone, they're shooting at her, they're trying to beat her, and of course they can't. Even Todd's like, oh, I'm going to be the hero of the day. He can't do it. She starts to walk up to the freaking sword, and she's going to jump on it. But Ballister made his way up there, and he kind of touches, like, I guess her essence, like her soul, like whatever that magical thing that's in your body, that's you. He touches it, and he's like, no, I accept you. You are Nimona. You're not a monster. You're not any of these things. Even though she kind of is. Then she like turns back to normal. She looks a little beat up, but she's like indestructible. Cries, big hug moment. Again, that's nice. But think about it. She made the whole city a target right now. All because she wanted to kill herself in the most dramatic way possible. The Chancellor's lady's like, F that. I'm going to go get this big laser gun and then shoot it at her. Like she couldn't just move out of the way. So she like does like an override thing to turn on the big gun, and they know it's pointed at the city. So she has to like do a sacrifice move. Did anyone see the Iron Giant? It's like that, but stupid. So she's gonna shoot this big laser at Nimona, who's in the middle of the city. Someone tried to explain this to me, and it still doesn't make any sense. So she sees Nimona out there. I'm gonna shoot her with this big laser beam. If Nimona would have turned into like a dragon and flew away, why would the Chancellor lady still shoot the city and just kill people indiscriminately? Wouldn't she try to aim the laser to shoot her out of the sky or something? Well, someone, please. This is how I say, again, I bring solutions. She goes into the room. I'm going to take over this laser gun and shoot that monster. Then the guy's like, there's people down there. You can't do that. I'm the Chancellor lady. I can do whatever I want. Remember the whole Mansley fire the missile? It's the same thing. Do that whole scenario. There's a struggle. She hits the button. It breaks. It starts to overload the cannon. Whoa, we can't move it. It's locked onto the city. We can't divert the cannon, so it's going to shoot in one spot. They can't move it. That doesn't happen. So she could still aim the cannon and move it. So if she saw Nimona, big pink dragon, fly up into the sky, would she not have aimed the gun at her? Would she have not done that? Or would she have said, well, F it, Nimona moved away. I'm still going to shoot the city? Would she have still done that? And people are saying to me that she would have. But I'm thinking, why would she do that? It doesn't make any sense. So she does the sacrifice play. So she just like runs at it, flies right into it, and boom, it blows up, kills her, kills Nimona, kills the laser. Then it goes to a week later, a day later, and then everyone's like rebuilding, and everyone's like, Nimona's a hero. They opened up the city, so people go outside the city now. Go where? To the forest? To build a new city somewhere? Like, where are they going? They're going to just, let's go look at the water? There's no monsters. There's only just animals out there. Wouldn't it have been great if there had been a whole bunch of monsters out there and they were trying to kill everybody? But we have all these like Nimona's a hero type graffiti everywhere, and that's really nice. He goes back to the tower where they like made their little plan, and he's like, well, I guess everyone thinks no one hates you anymore. We all love you. He turns around, sees like sparklies in the sky, and he says like, what the F word? And she like comes back to life. We don't see her come back to life, but I'm assuming that's what happened. So she got shot with like a megaton mega missile like laser cannon, and she still lived. So Nimona's indestructible. Then what's the point? Then what was the sadness of her? Like remember when the Iron Giant came back, like his little screw was coming back together? It's the same ending. It's exactly the same. But yeah, that's the end of this this movie that, oh my God, the message. Boy, once you get to that message, what's the message? I guess on a base level is don't judge people, accept people that are different. People may think and look, and they may even have strange abilities you never know about, but you shouldn't hate them for it. But what lesson did Nimona learn? That it's a good thing she held on to this grudge and this sadness for 1,000 years. She didn't never try again. Is that the message? Never try to befriend anyone else. Never, if you went into like a town and everyone hated your guts, yeah, that's effed up and they shouldn't do that. But just leave town. Go somewhere else. Is this the last city of man? There is no other city? There's so much once you think. And that's all I ask you to do. Before you comment, think. And if you truly believe, if that's our opinion of, I don't care about things making no sense, I love Nimona the character. There's no argument there, because that's just like saying, hey, there's two types of cool. The first type of cool is that it's functional. Like, I like this car because it gets good gas mileage and it gets me to work and I don't care what it looks like. That's the cool that it's functional. Second type of cool is, this car is badass. I love the way it makes me feel when I drive it around. I know it gets 1 mile to the gallon, but it's super cool. That's the second type. I get a feeling that Nimona is the second type of cool. The story makes no sense. None of the parts are necessarily worth anything, but you love the way it makes you feel. And I can't argue with that. If that's where you're coming from, then good on you. That's on you. But don't come to me and tell me it has good parts, because it doesn't. It categorically has no functioning parts. You can still love it. You still think it's amazing. But you got to admit that the story is an absolute freaking mess. Yeah, that people are saying Academy Awards. My God, even a nomination would be... The Academy Awards is an actual crap show anyways, but this would be just another crap show. And there's no way this is beating Spider-Verse. You're out of your effing mind if you think this is better than Across the Spider-Verse. But it's already forgotten. It was on the top 10. It premiered at number 9, I think. Then it fell off the top 10 like a day later. And it's dwindled to nothing, and no one's ever going to watch this movie again. And there's people who go, I watched it 10 times. I don't want to call you a loser, but I don't know. That's Nimona. Hopefully I can get back into other reviews. I moved. I'm in a new room. I'm in a new house. So, new job too. It's a better hours, more consistent hours, better pay too. So I'm sure hopefully I can get back into the swing of things, but I love everyone. Even if you love this film and you hate my guts, I still love you because you're a human being. You have worth. You have a mind and a soul, and you matter. I truly believe that. And the whole thing here, trying to kill yourself, no one should ever attempt suicide for any reason. Your life is worth a bazillion times more than whatever issues you're feeling. Your daily, what you bring to the world means so much more. So don't ever give up. Don't ever attempt these kinds of things. And I know people get a really strong, connection to that. But remember, this is just a story, and it can be critiqued, and it can be looked at objectively. And if you do, there's a lot of problems. But thanks for watching, guys. Again, try to keep it civil in the comments. I don't like blocking people. I don't like deleting comments. And I hardly ever check the spam filter. So if you don't see your comment and you thought I deleted it, it's probably because it's in the spam thing and I never looked at it. But thanks for watching, guys. I hope I get some more reviews in, more TV show stuff, shorter form things. But yeah, I love watching animation. We should connect on that we all love animation and we can discuss these things. Thanks for watching. Crimson Sin here. Thanks for watching the video. Remember, liking, subscribing, sharing, and commenting on the video really helps out a lot. It gets the video spread around more people get to see the videos, and we get to make more videos for you guys. So thank you, and we appreciate every single one of you guys.